Good morning. It's November 2nd, 2015. This is the morning tip off here on Spreaker. I'm your host, Danny Thompson, checking you this morning. It is the first NBA weekend of the NBA season going down, and we're here to catch you back up on everything you missed. So, for the next 1 hour, we're going to catch you back up on the games from Sunday, some of the top stories from over the weekend, and also preview a 7 game slate tonight in the NBA. And you can also talk to us here this morning. 407 378 3717 is the phone number here again. 407 378 3717 to check in with us this morning. So, a big weekend of the NBA. So many different things happened. Going back to Friday night, you're looking at Oklahoma City and Orlando playing a double overtime classic that had buzzer beaters everywhere. Kevin Durant taking the game over, tying the game. Oladipo hitting a three-pointer, then Russell Westbrook's 40-foot bank shot three-pointer to send the game to overtime. The Magic pretty much fell short. They've had a rough week. What Orlando did by having two close games. They lost pretty much at the buzzer, and Oklahoma City is probably one of the fastest paced teams in the NBA, and they pretty much proved it again, especially after their performance last night. And speaking of the Thunder, they played the Denver Nuggets last night at home and pretty much blew away the Nuggets. 117-93 was the final. The Thunder are now 3-0 this year. But here's the thing. The Thunder blew the game open in the third quarter. Kevin Durant, especially Russell Westbrook, and the team was just hitting threes everywhere. DJ Augustine contributed. They got a solid game from Enes Kanter off the bench at 12 points and 11 rebounds off the bench. Kevin Durant, easy 25 points. Russell Westbrook, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. Russell was all over the court doing different things defensively. Durant looked like the KD of old. When you look at the Thunder going into this game last night, the Nuggets wasn't going to do much defensively or be able to stop the team down the court, but you have to really be impressed with the Thunder's defense. They gave up 136 points on Friday night, and they gave up 106 points in the opener against San Antonio, but last night they kind of locked the defense down, and really they kept the Nuggets from shooting the three-point ball, because if you watched the telecast last night, the Nuggets said the key thing for them was to hit 9 three-pointers, and they did that. Problem was the Thunder hit, I think, 13 in the game last night, and another stat was the Thunder hit 53% from the floor. It hit 53% from the three-point line. So if the Thunder are hitting three-pointers and they're hitting efficiently from the floor, they're probably one of the hardest offensive teams to stop in the NBA. Speaking of teams that have had a hard time being stopped in the NBA so far, the first beginning part of the season, you look at the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls win again last night over the hometown Orlando Magic, 92-87. Pau Gasol getting back to normal, 16 points, 8 rebounds. Evan Fournier led the Magic with 19 points. But the real story of this game was the fact of Fred Hoiberg's team played defense. They shut down Orlando pretty much the majority part of the game. At the same time, they held Victor Oladipo to a struggling 3 of 14 shooting from the floor last night. And another struggle the Magic had last night was from the free throw line. They hit 10 of 17 from the line. So the Magic have to hit free throws, especially in close games in the Eastern Conference. You look at the Magic's first 3 games, they've lost by 5 to Chicago, lost by 3 to Oklahoma City, and they lost by 1 at home in the opener to Washington. So they're losing these games in the close parts of the game. And if you're not hitting free throws, you're not going to win games either. Speaking of games, they're not won either, and teams that are struggling. The Charlotte Hornets drive down I-85 and lose a second heartbreaker in less than a weekend to the Atlanta Hawks on Sunday, 94-92. Kemba Walker had a chance to win the game for the second time in 2 days and pretty much could not get the jumper to fall. The Hornets started the game by hitting the first 9 points on 3-pointers by Marvin Williams, and really, the Hornets were playing some good basketball. The third quarter, they had 37 points. It seemed like the Hornets were finally getting this together. But then the fourth quarter happened, and the Hawks turned into the Atlanta Hawks that we all know from last season. The defense pretty much shut down everything Charlotte had to do. Kemba Walker struggled again from the floor, couldn't hit shots, and really Kent Bazemore was the star player again for the Hawks. Horford had a good game, so did Jeff Teague, but Bazemore's 20 points and good defensive work on Walker in the fourth quarter was a team effort, and really the Hawks are now 3-1 of the year, and they've beaten Charlotte twice, and they've looked impressive doing it, especially, like I said, on the defensive end. Even though they had some slips at the end of the game for the second time in the final seconds of a game, they turned the ball over an inbound situation. Walker had stolen the ball, and Charlotte could not hit shots down the stretch. Like I said, I think it was 4 of 24 in the fourth quarter for the Hornets. It did them in. And this has been a problem for Charlotte for a long time. They cannot seem to find ways to win these games down the stretch. Clifford's defense was outstanding once again, but It was the fact that the Hawks hitting key shots, Kent Bazemore getting open on the wings, and Jeff Teague driving along with Dennis Schroeder, Al Horford hitting that mid-range jump shot, and bringing Big Al Jefferson out the paint. It was a rough night for Charlotte, but they were in it to the very end. You have to give the Hornets a lot of credit, but in the NBA, credit doesn't turn to victories. The Hornets are now 0-3. The Hawks are now 3-1. Speaking of teams that played with a team consistency, the San Antonio Spurs took care of the Boston Celtics 95-87 in Boston on Sunday afternoon. Really, the Spurs up 13 most of the game. They were playing good, solid team ball. LaMarcus Aldridge was outstanding. This is the Aldridge that the Spurs fans wait to see. 25 points, 14 rebounds last night, and 5 assists. Aldridge always plays well against the Celtics. He seems like he has the Celtics number, and just did it once again last night. Avery Bradley had 18 points, including a 9 in the fourth quarter, and also a thunderous dunk that got the Celtics close to the game. Late in the fourth quarter, the Celtics got within 4 points. They were just seeming like they were just hitting closer and closer and closer. But the Spurs, with the experience, Kawhi Leonard's 19 points, was just hitting shots down the stretch. 407-378-3717. If you want to talk about your team over the weekend, we'll get into some of the other games going on tonight. And also Fantasy Hoops around 8:45. Our good friend Draftaholics, otherwise known as Jay Waddell, going to check in with his picks of the day and who to look out for in fantasy coming up later on this morning here on the morning tip-off. But back to the Celtics. The Celtics are playing a big rotation. A lot of big guys. They're using Johnson, Lee, Olynyk, Zeller, Jared Sullinger. They're rotating 5 big guys. They're even talking about Jay Crowder as well too, in a rotation that hasn't even seen Jordan Mickey, who's been a healthy scratch the first couple games of the season. So if Boston wants to win games, they have to be able to hit shots. Isaiah Thomas went cold last night. He's normally a hit or miss type player anyway. But without him hitting shots, the Celtics can't seem to win games. And he heats up at the right times, and sometimes he goes cold in the right moments. But you really can't fault that because the Spurs got contribution from everybody. Duncan didn't have a double-double, but he played solid minutes. Ginobili had 13 points off the bench. And they really got some big three-pointers from Patty Mills. And like I said, Leonard and Aldridge are pretty much the guys who are going to carry this team most of the season because you'll see Parker do most of his damage in the playoffs. Speaking of teams that were in the playoffs last year doing damage that are not doing anything, the Houston Rockets are now 0-3 on the season, and they're not just 0-3. They've lost all 3 games by 20-plus points or more. And then, in this game on Sunday against the Miami Heat, they were up 21 points towards the end of the first half. They had scored 63 points in the first half, and then had a power outage in the second half by only scoring 26 points, and getting outscored 65-26 by Miami Heat in the second half. Hassan Whiteside was just dominating Kent Capella in the interior part because the Rockets did not play Dwight Howard because they have a back-to-back and they want to keep Howard's knees fresh, especially early part of the season, and they didn't have Terrence Jones. So Capella was a one-man gang going against Hassan Whiteside. Whiteside, 25 points, 14 rebounds. I think he caught like 6 or 7 alley-oops and was just dunking the ball all over the place. He couldn't be stopped. This is the Whiteside that we've watched all of last season, especially the second half of the season when the Heat were using him more. But what blew the game open was the fourth quarter with the Miami Heat. Went on a 21-1 scoring run in the fourth quarter at one point. Chris Bosh scored all 10 of his points in the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, including an emphatic dunk that pretty much got the Heat fans going. They got a couple threes from Julius Winslow. Dwayne Wade was his typical Dwayne Wade self, 20 points. But really, on Houston's side of it, they're 0-3. They've looked bad in all 3 games. And the problem has been, it's not just one problem. The fact that they're not playing defense and Kevin McHale's team is not hitting 3-point shots is James Harden has just been terrible. Last night, 2 of 15 from the floor, 0 of 10. And yes, I said it, 0 of 10 from the 3-point line. So if you had James Harden in fantasy, and I'm one of them, Harden destroyed your team last night. The problem was Harden scored 16 points, but didn't score a single point after the 6:25 mark in the third quarter. He got to the free throw line. I think it was 12 of 12 from the line last night, but could not hit a jump shot to save his life. And really, down the stretch of the game, he was just forcing threes. In the first half, Harden was become more of a playmaker because his shot wasn't falling, but he was forcing threes, and it's just not a good look. I'm going to tell you this. The Heat bench looked outstanding. They got contributions. Julius Winslow, Gerald Green were all hitting threes. You know, Tyler Johnson had a couple big moves, but the good news for the Rockets is that Pat Beverly did have the play of the weekend where he crossed over Goran Dragic, dropped him on the floor, and then dunked it. If you haven't seen it, check out NBA FCP on Full Court Press Radio on Facebook because the play is up there. And really, the Rockets, it's not getting easier for the Rockets as we will preview later on. They're playing the Golden State Warriors again. They're playing Oklahoma City tonight. And this stretch of games for the Rockets have not been good. They started the season with Denver, the Ty Lawson game, didn't play well there. Got blown out by Golden State on Friday night, get blown out by Miami tonight, and then have to deal with Kevin Durant tonight. It's not been a good stretch for Houston. And really, I didn't think Houston would they could be 0-3, but I didn't think they would look this bad in the process. You can't go and score 26 points in the second half of the game, especially when you're playing a team like the Miami Heat, whose team defense was just outstanding. Their guys were getting to the wings, their depth was showing, and that's what the Heat are going to do going forward. The Heat now moved to 3-1 of the season, and really, yeah, Houston didn't have Dwight Howard, but I don't know if Howard would have made that much of a difference on Whiteside. I mean, he probably would have stopped the alley-oops, but Goran Dragic was getting to the lane. Dwayne Wade, I think, threw 3 of those alley-oops, and really, with Wade and Whiteside throwing alley-oops to one another, Wade being the thrower and Whiteside being the receiver end of this one, it's going to be a long night for any team that is going to face them. We're going to take a quick break here on the morning tip-off. We still have a couple more games to go over, Raptors and Bucks, as well as Lakers and Mavericks from last night. And we also going to talk about tonight's games and what you missed over the weekend. We'll take a quick break and pay some bills. This is the morning tip-off here on Spreaker.
On the water with your family? Bring them to the Orlando Water Sports Complex, located off Highway 528 near OIA. The Orlando Water Sports Complex provides an experience you won't soon forget, featuring cable wakeboarding, as well as the Super Air Nautique G23, the world's best wakeboarding and wake surfing boat for guests to enjoy. For more info, visit actionparks.com. That's AKTIONPARKS.com. And tell them Full Court Press sent you.
Listeners, now I know you've heard of this up-and-coming brand Hoop Culture, which is headquartered right here in Orlando, Florida. But here's something that you didn't know. They are opening a flagship store in Fashion Square Mall, downstairs right in front of the movie theater. That's right, the brand that has brought you the iconic Eat Sleep Ball design is bringing their streetwear brand to retail. Stay ahead of the fashion trends. Go visit them online at hoopculture.com or follow them at Hoop Culture. Our listeners save 30% off your next order. Use the code RADIO at checkout.
Looking to expand your reach and following in all platforms of media? Need a jumpstart in expanding your brand to all markets across the world? Sofo is here for you. Sofo means something for everyone, and they help expand your business through all platforms of media. Need to grow on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram? Their experienced team expands your brand and puts your business in places you would have never been before. Call Sofo at 407-607-9862 or follow Sofo LLC on Instagram.
Welcome to Late Night Parents. I'm your host, Ted Hicks. We have a weekly podcast where we sit down and talk with game changers in the sports, technology, education fields. We even do product reviews and giveaways. Why, you ask? Because we're all parents. So if you're ready for an up-close and personal look, then you can check out our podcast. New episodes are available every Thursday. Catch us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. That's Late Night Parents. The site is latenightparents.com.
Are you looking for your dream home? Or are you looking to move out of your current home and find the home to start the next chapter of your life? Look no further. Jim Fouquet with Century 21 Rue Realty is your go-to guy to help you with all your needs. Specializing in West Orange County, Lake County, and Ocoee, his goal is to take care of you from the beginning to the end and is not satisfied until the job is complete. Stop by 401 West Colonial Drive, Suite 7, or give him a call,